today. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us today and, investing your time in learning something new today. My name is Nazanin, and I'm the Assistant Branch Manager at RBC East Toronto Newcomer Specialist Team. And, as Keisha mentioned, we have a very, very strong partnership with ACCES Employment to the point that we work together to help our community, especially our newcomer community, and really, really value this partnership with ACCES. We are actually very excited to be here today. As Keisha mentioned, we have a very interesting topic, rent or buy. Interest rates have been gone up and is a very hot topic. Is a very common question. Like you may ask all the time, like, should I buy or should I rent? Should I wait? And it actually ties very well with our event today. So as we're gonna go over, a number of essential steps that you need to take in order to buy a property. So we actually have a very special guest today. We have Danny Lam, a residential mortgage regional sales manager. We have Karjana Ravindran, one of our most knowledgeable and expert mortgage specialists in the market. We also have Dil Chowdhury, a real estate broker from Remax. So lucky to have them all together today, and we're gonna hear from them very shortly. We also have our full house, our newcomer specialist team is Toronto. On the line, we have Ria Ragbir, we have Farah Mohammed, as also we have Felipe Boada, who are here on the line with us, our banking advisors, and we're gonna also hear from them very shortly. So now here, so here's the agenda of the day. So I'm going to talk about what we have for you today. We have a very packed agenda for you. We already heard from Keisha from ACCES. Next, we are going to have our leader, Danny Lam, to welcome from RBC. Next, I'm going to go over RBC purpose and vision. And from there, I'm going to talk about RBC values very quickly. And Ria going to introduce RBC newcomer specialist team, as we are so excited to introduce our team. And so next, we're going to get into the main presentation, and I know Karjana and Dil has a lot to deliver today, so be ready to take lots of notes, and I can't wait to hear from them. And first, at the end, we're going to get into the Q&A, so feel free to enter your questions, the chat box, and then we're gonna get back to your questions at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's get it started. So as I said, the first person I would like to introduce is our residential mortgage regional manager, Danny Lam, who is highly motivated, self-driven sales leader, over 20 years of banking experience with RBC. So Danny joined RBC in 1998, and his previous role was assistant manager, builder development in GTA. And today he leads a team of 27 high-performing mortgage specialists in the GTR, including Karjana. So thank you so much, Danny, for joining us today. I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be here today. So I would like to hand it over to you to say a quick hello.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure. And thank you to ACCES Employment for allowing us this hour to share some mortgage knowledge with the folks on your end, and when we're happy to be here. So it's a pleasure for me to open up today's presentation. As you see on the screen, I'm Danny Lam. I've been in the mortgage business for over 20 years, so I look a little younger than the picture. At RBC, we've helped more clients achieve their dreams of home ownership than any other banks that you know, from figuring out how much you can afford to putting the financing in place. Our mortgage specialists, such as Karjana, can help you and sort through all of your options one step at a time. That way, you're ready to make your move, and you'll have everything you need to make it happen. To that end, I would like to introduce my mortgage specialist, Karjana Ravindran, who will be here to discuss different aspects of buying your first home in Canada. And we have our special guest, Dil, who is a local realtor, who will be also sharing his expertise on whether to rent or buy. So buying a home, I would say it's always a nerve-wracking experience given today's market, red hot market, I would say. And hopefully with Karjana's presentation today, we can make this a little easier for everyone. Over to you, Naz.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny, for the intro, again, for being here. So we're going to get back to you probably for the Q&A part. Thank you so much. And I also would like to hand it over to Karjana to say a quick hello. Karjana actually joined RBC in August 2008 as a part-time client advisor, as while she was a full-time student at Seneca College doing her business admin in HR. And she held different positions as a client advisor, central teller, banking advisor, financial advisor, and has been in current role since March 2021. And she actually loved connecting with her clients and helping them to achieve their financial goals and making a difference in their life. So thank you, Karjana, for being here today. And just hand it over to you to say a quick hello.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here, and thank you all for joining us today. I would also like to introduce one of my real estate partners, Dil Chowdhury from Remax Royal Properties. He's a full-time professional real estate broker, and he's specialized in sales and marketing of residential properties throughout the Greater Toronto area. Dil has 6 years of real estate and 8 years of banking experience, and he has his own team of successful realtors. Thank you, Dil, for coming today, and good to see you.
Thank you, Karjana. Dil, you want to say a quick hello to attendees? Hey, Dil, you might be unmuted.
Myself. Yes, okay. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, Karjana and Danny and everyone else. And thank you to the attendees. Hopefully we get to hear from you guys some of the questions. And once again, it's my privilege to be here with the panelists. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you all, Danny, Adil, and then Karjana. So we are going to get back to you very shortly. Awesome. So before we get to the main presentation, I'm gonna, as a proud RBC, I want to talk a little bit about RBC. So as you can see, the RBC purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And our vision is to be among the world's most trusted and successful financial institution. So all of our 86,000 employees at RBC actually guided by one set of values. So first is client first. We always earn the right to be our client's first choice. So second is collaboration. We win as one RBC. We are partners, and we work together as one RBC to make sure our clients and business prosper. So the other one is accountability. So we take our ownership for personal and collective high performance. Diversity and inclusion, which is very, very important for us. So we embrace diversity for innovation and growth. So we speak up for inclusion, empower people to grow and achieve more. And I think that's why we're such a strong and successful organization. And the last but not the least, integrity. So we hold ourselves to the highest standard to build trust. So that was just a little bit about RBC that I wanted to share with you. Now we'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Ria, to introduce our team. Thank you, Ria. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Naz. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today and investing in yourself by simply just being here and being on this incredible learning journey with us. So my name is Ria Ragbeer. I am a banking advisor at the RBC Newcomer Virtual Specialist team. So RBC have created unique branches all around Canada. We're not the typical style branch. We are one bank with many doors, and ours is virtual. So we pride ourselves on newcomer helping newcomers, and I'm really thrilled to tell you about our unique team on our next slide. So this is a wonderful team. It starts with Jeff and Nazanin, our fearless leaders, and then we have Felipe, Farah, and myself. We are a virtual newcomer team, and we're here to provide the support, the guidance, the resources, the information, and the connections to the newcomer community to help your journey as easy as possible in any way that we can. So we are a small team, but a really mighty team. We've nurtured the relationships for a strong support team throughout GTR. Just like today, we have Danny, Karjana, and Dil, your go-to team to alleviate all your concerns when it comes to your home buying purchase. We are a team with different skills and expertise, but we're brought together as one RBC, sharing the same vision and values in the organization. And our success has contributed to the commitment of our community partners. As today's event, this wonderful partnership at ACCES Employment enables us to reach the newcomer community to provide these great advice events with the value beyond banking, also showcasing the strength of the one RBC. And we're proud of the winning partnership that our community has evolved due to the presence, our team, and especially with our events. So we've created, hosted, and facilitated financial literacy and beyond banking events. Here, we're able to provide tailored events based on the organization's clientele. And with these events, we're able to provide advice on the Canadian banking system because we do know it varies from country to country. And of course, with the beyond banking piece, where we're able to provide, just that advice that goes just beyond the typical banking standards. So now I hope you have a better understanding of RBC and the RBC meeting place. Now for the highlight of the hour, I'll hand it back to our expert mortgage specialist, Karjana, to get us started.
Hello and welcome again, everyone, to our advice event designed to guide first-time home buyers through the home buying process. My name is Karjana Ravindran, mortgage specialist at RBC, and I've been helping our clients to get into their first home since last year. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and happy to be here and share some information to help you prepare yourself to buy your first home. Buying your first home marks a key milestone in life that represents both emotional and financial journey. So be honest with yourself about your current lifestyle and your situation. Put a good down payment. Not only having that down payment, make sure you are able to manage the ongoing cost of home ownership. There are plenty of online tools available at RBC Advice Center to help you decide whether you are ready, how much home you can afford. For example, the home buying readiness quiz will give you, ask you questions about your savings habit, current debt, willingness to make lifestyle changes to achieve your home ownership goals. At the end of the quiz, you'll find out whether you are ready to go, almost there, or still in the planning stage, and you will get some tips to get you started on the next steps as well. The rent or buy calculator, you can use it, and it will give you an idea of the price of a home you can afford. Based on these current rent payment, a down payment of 5%, 10%, or 20%, and the number of years of which you expect to have your mortgage paid off. It takes into consideration not only your mortgage payment, but also the cost of property tax and the heating costs as well. How much you need. Your down payment is the amount of cash you have available to put towards the purchase of your home. It can be a conventional mortgage or default insured mortgage. Conventional mortgage is a term that we use when you put 20% or more down payment of the purchase price. The benefit of conventional mortgage is that you will not pay the mortgage default insurance. Default insured mortgage is when you put less than 20% down payment, but minimum 5%. So that means you can buy a home for as little as 5% of the purchase price. For example, if your purchase price is $400,000, you need to have about $20,000 available to put towards your home. For default insured mortgages, you will be paying more because it's insured, but the advantage is that you can buy a home sooner rather than waiting until you get your 20% down payment. Okay. Buy now or later. So there are pros and cons on each choice, and in the end, it's your personal decision that you need to make because finances aren't the only thing that you need to consider. If your move is likely to be short term, for example, it makes more sense to hold off on the purchase. Building a down payment. So where's the down payment coming from? Dedicated saving plan can help you, and there are online savings and budgeting tools available to help you figure out how much you can save and automatically transfer that amount on a regular basis to a dedicated account. For example, tax-free saving account is one of the good place to start because your savings accumulate tax-free and withdrawals are tax-free as well. Another type of account you can consider is a retirement saving plan. Under the Canada Revenue Agency rules, first-time homebuyers can withdraw up to $35,000 per person tax-free if you have contributed towards your RSPs. To get more details, or if you need to know more about these accounts, feel free to reach out to one of our financial advisors from the branch, and they'll be able to guide you and recommend you to open the right account for you. Knowing how much you can afford. So before you start house hunting, you need to have an idea of how much you can afford. That means looking at your income and all your expenses, not just the mortgage payment, but also utility bills, property tax, phone, cable, credit cards, gym membership, and so on. So if you're buying jointly with someone else, look at both of your income and expenses. The true cost of a home is not just the price that you see on the listing or even the price you negotiate with the seller. There are many other costs come into place. They can be divided into a one-time cost which occur at closing and ongoing costs which starts once you move in. The closing costs include things like lawyers' fees, moving costs, and title insurance. Ongoing costs are those starts when you move in, such as monthly utility bills, property tax, condo fee. So if you're buying a condo, not only these expenses are ongoing, but they are likely to rise over time as well. One of the best way to prepare your house hunting is to start mortgage pre-approval with getting a mortgage pre-approval. So this is where I come in as your mortgage specialist. A pre-approved mortgage simply means that you've reviewed your financial situation with the lender and you know what you can afford to spend on a home in terms of purchase price, down payment, legal fees, and other closing costs. To get a pre-approval, basically, you will need to provide us with your previous year's T4 in your pay slip and investment account statements. We will take this information down as well as your current debt payments to determine how much you're likely to be able to borrow. There's no obligation on your part, and pre-approval provides you with an interest rate guarantee up to 120 days. With the mortgage pre-approval, you can go shopping with confidence. Then when you find a home that you want to buy, you can bring in the listing, a purchase agreement, your confirmation of your down payment along with your lawyer's contact information to apply for the mortgage. So the bank's decision will be based on this information as well as your credit history. Credit history is a track record of your paying your bills and making your debt payments on time, because lenders want to know how you have handled your credit in the past to determine how well you're likely to handle your credits in the future. And also the bank want to do their own assessment of the value of the property that you want to buy. Finding a mortgage that's right for you. So besides the amount of money that you borrow, there are other important characteristics that determine how much you will pay both monthly and over the life of your mortgage. You will need to decide whether you want your interest rate to be fixed or variable. You will need to choose an amortization, means the amount of time needed to pay off the mortgage in full. You will need to decide on a term, the length of time you agree on a specific interest rate and a payment amount. You will need to choose between open and closed mortgage, and at the end you need to decide how frequently you want to make your mortgage payment, like monthly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, and so on. Your home buying team, so you will need the help of a number of professionals to buy your home. My role as a mortgage specialist to review your credit history, your financial information to help you determine how much home you can afford and identify the best financing solutions. I can also help you with your mortgage pre-approval and advise you on the next steps, and also put you in touch with the real estate agents, make recommendations for your home inspectors, real estate lawyers, of course, if you don't already have your own. And also, if you are not quite ready to buy and you're still saving up for your down payment, an RBC advisor, financial advisor, or banking advisor can help you reach your home ownership goals as well. So now, since we have our real estate broker, Dil Chowdhury from Remax Royal Properties with us, I will let him share some details about the common challenges our newcomers are facing and the questions you need to ask the realtor or the landlord before you're signing a lease, and the advantage of renting a home. Dil, once again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks again for having me, the panelist. Thank you, Karjana, for inviting me. So let's get to it. When you are looking to when you're looking to rent, whether it's a condo, townhouse, or a house, first of all, you need to determine which part of the town or the area of a city that you want to live in, and that could vary based on amenities. That could vary based on what exactly you want, maybe the transportations, maybe the subway, maybe the GO train. And that could also vary. You might, if you got children, you might want to have a daycare around it. So those are all contribute factor for you to decide which neighborhood you want to live in. And quite often, sometimes you may find that you are deciding to go somewhere where maybe you have family member or community that you really want to be around or associate with. So that's what we come in and we tell you, hey, this is the pocket that this community really pride to live in, and we be actually able to shine some lights over there, provide you feedback and suggestions, maybe perhaps. Now, so that's about neighborhood. Also about safety net of the neighborhood, how safety it is in terms of maybe you might be looking at a condo. Does it have a 24 hours concierge service? Does it have, is it viable for you to live in? Do you need a parking or you don't need a parking, stuff like that, right? So I will talk about the challenges that you are going to be facing as a newcomer when you are renting a place, when you are trying to apply to rent a place. For the most part, I shouldn't say challenges, but more so things that you're going to need to prepare yourself in order to secure a property for you to live with your family. For example, majority time, the landlord would ask for a credit report, which you may or may not have because you haven't been in the country yet. They would be looking for a rental application for you to complete, which requires you to put your legal information and the people that you're going to be living with. Also requires you to also submit your information of your employment. If you have a new employment, your sort of a pay stub, your employment letter, if you will, and your references. Now, for being a new person, I was a new immigrant about 23 years ago. I'm pretty sure my parents went through a struggle to find a place, and I've been helping in real estate industry for the last 6 years with my team. And I can tell you that quite often, the number one challenge that we do have with the landlord is that you don't have a credit history. So that is something that you're going to be facing. But again, like I said, there are some landlords willing to accept the newcomers. But what you have to provide for the majority time, it's your first and the last month rent. So those 2 months rent you must provide. If you're living in a condo or there's a common elements that may require you to also provide a security deposit, and that could be for fob, the key, or the remote for the garage, underground garage. And that could be extra money, which is refundable to you upon termination of your lease. Lease normally it's a 1-year term, so it's a 12 months. Again, it's not, I shouldn't say that is normal protocol, but there are landlords who's willing to allow you to have a short-term rental as well. But like I said, first and last month rent you must have. Now, some landlords may, because you don't have an employment or probably a very recent employment, you may have a very new credit history, or may have not at all. Some landlord may decide to talk to you about how you can secure that. That's right. And additionally, if you are renting a place, landlord may give you for 1 year. Landlord may put a clause saying that after 1 year, it's up to them to renew the lease with you. Now, if you have a pet, for example, cat, dog, and any other types of pet, you need to disclose those before you're renting it. It's very important that you do disclose that. Also, the landlord may ask you to bring a guarantor. So you may have a family member, maybe a friend who might be able to provide their information, their credit report, and their sort of employment information, documentations, in order to help you to secure that condo unit or the house, whichever may be. Now, it's very important that when you are renting a house, for example, or a townhouse, you are responsible for the most part, all the utility bills. So in Canada, we pay gas from our pocket. Gas basically is the heating cost. Hydro is the electricity, and the water. Those 3 bills you are going to be paying from your own pocket. You're going to be required to sign up with the service providers and provide a proof to the landlord that you have obtained an account opening, and they know that you actually now be getting bills under your name. So that might be one of the things that you're going to also do. Now, they're also going to ask, if you're living in a condo or a house, something called content insurance. What does it mean? It means if you're living in a condo or house, or God forbid, let's just say there's something happens, your contents, whether you got a watch, jewelry, TV, whatever it is, that insurance protects you. if something were to happen. And that is something that you must get before you take possession or occupancy of the property. And again, Karjana can maybe perhaps provide you with the insurance partner that she deals with. I believe RBC has their own insurance as well, that you can get the content insurance. So you must have that. So that is part of the due diligence from the realtor side. And when you are working with the realtor to get a property, to rent a property, just know this: you do not pay anything for our service. Our service, and we are compensated by the landlord. Okay, so you feel free to hire a realtor or real estate team that can represent you and who can facilitate to secure a unit. All right. Now let's talk about, sorry, bear with me. Let's talk about renting. What are the advantages of renting a home? First of all, you're a newcomer. You may not have a lot of money come in when you're coming into this country. Plus, you don't have a credit history. Most likely, it's default that you do rent a place for the little bit of time at the beginning while you sort of figure out which part of the town you want to be located. So the advantage is basically allows you to get to know the neighborhood, allows you to get to know the city that you want to live in, and at a lowest cost, because when you buy a house, you're talking a lot of other costs associated with it. But for renting, mostly at the beginning, it's probably easier for you to rent. And also it allows you to get to know the neighborhood you want to be in. Also allows you to build your credit history, which a bank really so much want as well. And also it allows you to build some equity in terms of savings that you need to save up in order for you to buy a house. So those are the advantages. While you're renting, you'll be able to save up a little bit, and you'll be able to get to know the area, and you know exactly where you want to be situated for you and your family. Let's talk about advantages of owning a home. And that's everlasting advantages, to be honest with you. When you own a home, you take a pride. It's your home. Every time you make a mortgage payment, you actually build equity. Instead of you paying somebody else's rent, you're building equity. And what it allows you to do is, let's say you bought something for $500,000, a condo, 1-bedroom unit. Maybe in a few years' time, that could appreciate to $600,000. However, if you're renting for 5 years, there's nothing to appreciate. You just help somebody else to pay their mortgage. So that's the advantage. And also it allows you to get in your foot into the door for real estate in Toronto. And then, from that point, you can kind of upsize as your life progresses. That's right. And also other thing, remember, when you're owning a home, the bank allows you to, let's just face it, let's say you want to become a self-employed, for example. You could put your house as a collateral business loan for your business that you want. And again, that's something that you could talk to Karjana about. She can probably facilitate or refer you to one of her partners from the bank. Give me 1 second. That would be it from my side. If you guys got any questions for real estate, please do let me know. I do want to let you know I serve in Durham region, so which is Pickering, Ajax, Oshawa, Whitby. And my team looks after the complete GTA. That includes Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Toronto, Brampton, Scarborough, Mississauga, Markham, Newmarket, Aurora. So if you are in GTA, sort of in area, you got the right team to deal with it. And I have, we don't only speak one language, we speak Bengali, Hindi, Tagalog, Palestinian, which is Arabic, and we speak Spanish as well. So if you got any of you guys that are out there that maybe need that language help, we have it covered. And thank you again for the opportunity, everyone.
All right.
I'm going to head over to Karjana or Nazneen, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dil, for sharing all that advice with us. Karjana, for, sharing all that information. It's super helpful. I know when it's your first time buying a home, just buying a home in general, there's just so much, to think about. And there's a lot of things I think that might slip our minds when trying to purchase a property. So like, for example, like you mentioned, Dil, when you're looking for a place, things to consider is like the community you're moving into, right? the schools that are in the area. And then also, do you have family nearby? Do you have friends nearby? When someone's a newcomer, especially, you need that support system. So these are, huge things to think about when you're, looking for a place. And then of course, those unexpected bills, right? Those fees that we didn't actually think were going to happen. I think sometimes there's that property tax that comes in and it's never a small bill, and you're like, oh, where am I getting the money for this? So there's a lot of fees and bills to think about, prior, to purchasing a home, which is not just the mortgage payments we're looking at. So thank you so much for really, shedding some light and giving us information on that. We do have some questions here, so I hope you guys are up for it. I'll start with what we have in the chat so far. So right now we have, well, thank you for holding this webinar. What is a good credit score to have to be successful? Does it depend on the province or territory? So obviously this is someone that's new, right, to Canada, just kind of figuring out here, the importance of credit history, which you did touch on. And, does it depend? Is there a difference on the province or territory that we're in? So if anyone would like to touch on that, that would be helpful.
Sorry, I'm just is the question about credit scoring in different provinces of Canada? Is that the question?
Right. So the question is, what is a good credit score to have to be successful? And then it goes on, does it depend on the province or territory? So I guess, does it vary? Does it change? And that's the question there. Okay.
So the credit scoring is across Canada. So whether you're Ontario and BC, it wouldn't matter. Credit scoring it's universal across Canada with RBC. And what's a good rating? Credit scoring normally ranges, and I think I posted an answer already in the Q&A. It ranges from about 660 to almost 900. So that's the range we consider, but that's not the all in terms of whether determining whether a client would qualify. We also look at payment history, previous bankruptcies, and then we encourage Janet can go into the 5 C's of credit in terms of how we actually review a client's credit rating. And for example, if credit score is poor, why was it poor, right? So if there's different factors, but in general, 660 to 900, it's the range for credit scoring.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Danny. So there's a lot to consider, right? It's not just a score that you're looking at. Okay, so there is the question here about, can you briefly tell us the differences between buying a home as a person versus buying a home under a business?
I think I'll try to take a stab at that one, Karjana. In most cases, we mortgage specialists in our portfolio, we lend to personal clients. We do not lend to businesses. If we're talking about borrowing from a holding co, that's a different aspect of lending, and we can definitely go into that or take it on the side and speak to that person directly. But in general, we lend to personal clients only, unless it's a holding corporation, and that's a different category, and we can definitely need more time to explain that aspect of homeownership. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I believe later on your information will be shared. So for those who would like to contact our panelists here today, you'll be able to do that. So I do have a question here. It says, as a newcomer, how long do I need to be in Canada to be able to buy a house? So either, Karjana or Dill, if that's something you'd like to answer, that would be great.
I can definitely take that. So in terms of, I guess this all depends based on how quickly do you establish your credit. And again, if you are looking at perspective of borrowing money from the bank, which ultimately majority of people do, then you're going to have build your credit, got to have a reputable income source for the bank to consider. Like Danny was saying earlier, that it requires you to have a credit history, certain amount of points for the bank to consider. there are different programs the bank may have, and which probably Karjana can touch on in terms of, I guess, for newcomers and how they can qualify. But the affordability is always the questions. How do you afford, and do you have the income put in place? So going back to your questions, it's case by case. We wouldn't be able to tell you how long, but what I can tell you that I have seen from my experience doing banking and real estate for the last 15 years, that people have been owning within a year or so. They've been able to get a house, again, provided what kind of down payments they're doing. And that is also a huge factor. And that's where the Karjana can come in and tell you, look, based on your current credit history under the new program, comer program, this is how much you got to put down in order for you to qualify for a conventional or a default sort of insurance mortgage. I hope I was able to answer their questions in a different way.
Yeah, no, that was great. It actually kind of takes us right into our other question here, talking about the, home buyer, first-time home buyer. Someone had mentioned that they heard the government pays about 5%, for first time. And is there, a program for newcomers to Canada? Karjana, are you able to shed some information on that for us?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, for sure. So Dill was talking about, newcomers, are there any newcomers programs that are in place right now? And someone had mentioned something about, the government, paying 5% for first time, something like that. So can you give us some more information on that?
If I can also, while she's digging the answers.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny might be able to do
Go
that.
ahead. Oh, I was just going to
say, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that I think these questions might be required for Karjana to perhaps have a sort of one-to-one conversation, in my opinion, because it may have she needs to provide a full-fledged program on it, and it's a lengthy sort of discussion. But from my knowledge, I understand the bank has a program put in place. It's all about your down payment that you need to bring in, and I think she can shed some lights on that specifically. Sorry, Karjana.
Yeah, no, I can take that one, Dale. Like you said, that probably requires a bit more discovery. We want to understand your employment history, whether you're employed today in Canada, how long have you been in Canada. We also look at credit scoring, and we also have something called a newcomer program for our mortgage clients. So I would encourage whoever raised that question to speak to Karjana directly after this meeting, and then we can set something up where we can do a bit more deeper discovery, and she can understand your situation a little better, and then we can apply different programs that will meet your needs.
Yeah, great. I'm sure it'll be super helpful, for them to know as newcomers, what, the bank is able to offer, and have that, sit down or telephone conversation to provide some more information on that. Great, thank you so much. So we have a question here. I believe this can go to Dill. Would you please share some information about buying a house in a rural area? Is it cheaper? Right. So I guess that's really, that's the question now, right?
I will go back what Danny started his opening remarks. It's Evers running sort of real estate market is very hot in GTA, and it's not stopping. So in a way, if you're asking me questions, is there cheaper? There's no such thing cheap, in my opinion, but it is what can you afford. And how far can you want to be outside of GTA to own a property within your means, within your affordability. Here's the thing, you can get a rural property. The challenges that you are going to be facing that you need to know, and you need to have a team of realtor or the realtor you're dealing with, is that then they must know if you're getting something, it's not because it doesn't have a city connection. So in other words, storage system. So you're going to be talking about septic tank. You're going to be talking about well. You're going to be talking about, is this house even winterized all season, or like all that stuff you have to know. Can you live there during the winter time when we have negative 30, 40 degrees? So those things, does this house have enough heating capacity, handle, like I mentioned, water as well. So all those factors in. Yes, you can buy something cheaper, but it's no longer cheap in a sense. It's still gone up due to pandemic. Our rural properties actually has significantly skyrocketed in terms of pricing point of view and appreciation. I could give you an example. I used to be able to get a cottage for 500,000. Now I'm looking at 800 to $1 million, just to give you an example. And that still requires work. So if you were to go ahead and buy a house in cottage side or rural area that costs you 800, and you want to lesser your commute, then why not look at something in GTA that could cost pretty much similar, more or less. But if you're working in a Toronto area, if you're working in a GTA area, just give an example. But yes, it's possible. But the challenges that you're going to face when it's a rural properties are things that I just mentioned: septic tank, well, and is this even all season property? Those are things that you want to know. And during the winter time, if you're driving Honda Civic, if you're driving Corolla, can it even drive? Because the roads are, they're not normal roads. So you got to have a proper vehicle to drive. In other words, we're talking about pickup trucks and stuff. I hope I was able to answer these questions.
Yeah, no, that was some great advice there. And I think there's so many things that we really don't consider or think about. I mean, number one, nowadays, really, gas is the other thing, right? That's a huge topic that's going on. And then, like you mentioned, right, like these areas, even the roads, the car you're driving, is it going to be able to get you where you need to go? So there's so much to consider. And I really appreciate, the advice and the experience you have here, because these are things that a lot of people, sometimes just don't think about. You're just kind of focused on, what does the house look like, right? How many bedrooms does it have? And we're not really considering, the outside factors. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really appreciate that. So we have a question here, so for Karjana, this is for you. What does a typical appointment with you look like? Where are we able to meet, and what can we expect, to be provided during that meeting?
So basically, after the COVID, most of my appointments are virtual. So it depends on, if you really like to see meet at the branch, we'll book the appointment at the branch. If you are able to, use WebEx, we will send you the link, and then we'll connect with you. And typically the first appointment will be like giving you the details. Most of the time, like what you need to know income wise, how's your credit, and where's the down payment coming from, and we'll be going over these details. And once the appointment is done, we'll be sending you the email with all the required documents, and from there we'll set up the next appointment.
Okay, great. And I know you had mentioned like documents. So what documents can someone expect, to be bringing in with them when they're coming to see you?
So the common documents that we will require, obviously, is the income, right? So the previous year's T4, if they are employed, we'll ask for previous year's T4s and the latest pay stub, confirmation of your down payment. And if they are self-employed, then we will request to have 2 years of, the T1s generals and notice of assessment and their business banking statements as well.
Okay, perfect. Because I know it's a lot sometimes. So a lot of people are always wondering, do I need this? Do I need to bring that? Is this, document relevant? So it's great, yeah, to know exactly what, what they have to bring in. So I have a question here from Katerina. As a newcomer, can I provide payslips from my previous country? So is that something that someone's able to do?
So we will take a look at their previous employment and information, but according to our new policy, the client will need to work in Canada and make a minimum $12,000. It can be, you can do a part-time job, it can be a full-time, or it can even be you have some funds in your investment and in the interest that you make on your investment. So we will take a look at the previous employment history from your country, but definitely we will require to have an income in Canada.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for, clarifying that, because it is something a lot of people, have when they come. A lot of newcomers, do come with money wanting to purchase the home, and that whole process right now of knowing what they need to do really can help, smooth that out for them. So I have a question here, how much is the salary range needed annually to be able to afford a house or a condo in the GTA? So Dill, you probably know what the prices are going like in the GTA now. big difference, from what it was a little while ago. So how much salary?
I don't know. This is subjective, I think, and that's Karjana's specialty. But what I can say is you're looking at a 1-bedroom condo starting at 550 and up at the bare minimum with a parking, 1 bedroom. So again, if you're coming in new to the country and you're trying to get this, let's say 5% down payment from your side and 5% from the government, for example, somebody asked earlier, you have to be able to show that you can afford that. Bank has to do their due diligence to make sure that you can afford that. But on a normal basis, if somebody is putting 20% down, I think an income of between 80 to 100,000 for 550 to 600,000 property with a smaller maintenance fee, I think it should do it. Again, don't quote me on the numbers. I'm just saying from my experience. Normally it's between 85 to 100. You should be able to get a condo for 500, 550, in my opinion. Karjana, to you, my friend.
Yeah, that is right. It's about 100,000 to look for a condo. Depends on the maintenance fee as well. If you have a maintenance fee of $800, obviously we need to put more towards the down payment, or you need to get a co-signer to have on the purchase price.
All right, good to know. Good to know. Thank you so much. So next, I have a question for Dil here. I understand, credit history is a major criteria for renting. Besides landlords asking for first and last rent, do they consider anything else when making a decision, for rent for that person? Maybe having a full-time job, a recommendation letter, a letter from the bank, a co-signer, someone who has credit. Are those things, that can be considered?
Absolutely. All of the above, I would say at this point. But number one, it's your guarantor, the co-signer, who has a strong credit and who has a good income source and with less obligations on their credit. So they would look for a full credit report of that individual, whoever the guarantor or the co-signer is, along with their employment letter and a pay stub. They may even ask for 3 months bank history as well, in and out from the landlord's perspective. Now for you, like I said, there are some landlords might be able to, because they might be able to sympathize with you in a sense that they are immigrants at some point in this country. They'll say, okay, I will give you a shot. I'll take a chance on you. Give me the first and last month rent and let me see your savings behavior. So in other words, they may want to see your bank statement if you have one in this country. They may, and this is just this is not a market industry by any means. They may ask for additional deposits, just like how we do for commercial security deposit.
Okay, so kind of
that's I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yeah, so I have a question with that, so because I had also heard that you can offer more than, your first and last month's rent. Have you ever seen like that work before?
That's right. Now, again, that is case by case, and that's not, that's kind of, a lot of new immigrants are willing to secure, or newcomers willing to secure a condo or a townhouse or a house in an area they want to be in because of their family, friends, and they're willing to put down significant amount of months of rent to secure that. Now, is that a normal industry practice? No, it's not. But if you really need to and you want to be in that area and you want to have that unit, definitely you need to showcase your strength to the landlord, and landlord needs to accept it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of my clients are willing to prefer, for example, newcomers than versus someone who might have a lot of income and stuff, because they feel like the newcomers are willing to, work hard to prove themselves. And also a lot of my clients are newly immigrant, in a sense, like they've been here for maybe 10 years, 5 years. They understand the struggles they went through themselves, and they want to help somebody and extend that hand.
Yeah, I think
I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think, a lot of people who are newcomers, know the struggles, right? And the hurdles that have to kind of, that they have to jump over, right, in order to make these things happen. So definitely if you have someone that's understanding to your situation, makes it a lot easier. So a question that I have here is, can we open a bank account prior to landing in Canada? So I can throw that out to one of our banking advisors if they would like to answer.
I'll take that one, Farah. Thank you. So I did answer that question personally to Amit. So thank you. It's a great question. It is a question that we get all the time. So you can absolutely open an account prior you landing here in Canada. I did send you the contact information, so reach out to me and we can connect after the event, and I can guide you through that whole process.
Perfect, thank you. And then for for anyone that has any questions about opening a bank in Chowdhury, or any of the banking advisors here can help you with that.
Definitely, yes. Good point, Farah. Thank you.
No problem. So we have a question here from Calvin. What do you advise for a newcomer who nominates for PNP but would like to move to another province after becoming a citizen to rent or buy? So what advice would you give a newcomer who?
I'll take that question. If you are looking to settle in the province of Ontario, and it's going to be only for, let's say, a few years, but you do want to have a stake as an investor in the province, I would suggest you can own one while you live in it, and then you move to a new province. This could be an investment property. I've done this in a numerous time where people, my clients are in Toronto, settle here for 5 years, then they move to BC or Calgary, for example, British Columbia and Vancouver, for job purposes, of course, as well as in Calgary. So I have about 10 clients of mine who moved from Ontario, moved to the other provinces, but they still have their investment property stayed in Toronto, where they still made a pretty good appreciation with the current market, and they haven't sold it. So it is possible. It's all up to you what your end game is. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And also the number one question is, do you want to be a landlord? That's, because you're going to have to hire a property management company to look after your property affairs while you're away from the province.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back, long-term and short-term goals, right? Like what is the purchase of the property? What is the purpose of it for, right? And how we're going to go about on doing that.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dil. So I have a question here, and this will be the last question we have. Is there an age limit for getting a loan to be approved? Does the bank give a loan to a person who's over 45, even if he or she is employed with a good credit? So can someone get a loan? Does age have anything to do with it?
I can take that, Farah.
Thank you.
Their age, it's not an age limit, but you need to be at the age of majority. In Ontario, that's 18 years old for you to obtain a mortgage, and there is no age limit. So you're good even after you're 45, and it's not a matter of whether you have a good credit or employed. So you have to be over the age of 18. So that's the answer.
Okay, good to know. I guess, once people, as you get older, you wonder, like, do I still qualify for something? Does that have an impact? Does it make a difference? Right? So it's good to know. Thank you so much.
You must have an income. You must have an income regardless of your age. So for example, I bought a property last week for a senior who are a retiree. They got to have an income in order to qualify for this mortgage. That's right. So they sold a property in Scarborough. They bought something in Ajax. They're able to put down a significant amount of down payment because they're coming from a downsizing from a bigger house to a smaller house, but they still got to have some sort of income. Otherwise, bank will not give you any mortgage. That's right.
Right. So we have one more here in the chat, and this will be our last one here. So from Svita, hi. So suppose someone takes a mortgage, and after a few years, they lose their job, and it takes some time to find another job. For example, many people did lose their job in earnings due to the pandemic in 2020. What steps does the bank take in these cases?
Unless it's coming up for, it's it's a tricky question. So we only look at your income and you know, to qualify you when you actually do a refinance. So if you want to get a home equity line of credit, once you get your mortgage, and every 5 years, so you know, when the term ends, when you renew it, we don't ask for you to bring in your income documents. So doesn't matter if you know, lost your job, unless you're switching into a different financial institution, or if you are refinancing the house. At that point, we'll be asking you to provide your income documents. So I think I answered that question. Is that clear?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Karjana. And you know, your information was shared. So if you know someone wants to reach out to you and just get further information, I know a lot of things, you know, we might want to share. We might not want to share, you know, personal details on here. So that's definitely something I'm sure you can help